All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Today, I'm going to show you all how you can make a little money off public domain works of art by making it your own and utilizing it for anything you want to use it for, because you've now recreated it and made it your own work of art. All right, so let's get started. Remember, this tutorial, you need to be a little Photoshop savvy, but you could learn as you go along. Right? This piece that I brought in here is a piece from the 1800s, and it's called Two Men Contemplating the Moon. All right, and I'm just going to take you all through the steps that I did. And all right, but first I'm gonna just crop it. I hit the up here, the crop tool, and we're just gonna run through this very quickly because it had some frayed edges here, so I'm just gonna cover those up. Even though you can still smoothen those out, I'm just gonna get rid of it so we can just get started. And hit return, and boom, we are clean on the edges. All right. And the concept I had is someone walking their dog. I just thought, that would look good here. Somebody walking their dog, staring out into the moon, almost like an eclipse going on there, right? So this is the first steps I took. I'm going to separate these two guys because they are definitely going to be dissing. They will be disappearing in a minute. So I took the lasso tool here, and you don't want to cut them out. You just want to copy and paste because you're going to be utilizing them for color reference, right? So these guys now are on their own layer. And you don't have to clean them up, not at all. You don't really need to clean those guys up too much. You could leave them as is, right? Get rid of this layer here. And they're gonna come in handy later. So I'll turn them off and turn this back on. Now that you have those guys, I brought in the image that I want to blend in here and actually make it my own. And this is the image I brought. And you can take any image that you see. It has watermarks on it because I'm not going to be using this image in particular. I am just using this as a reference, a starting point. And you'll be doing the same thing you did with those guys, which is lasso tool. And just clean this up. You can use the lasso tool or the magic wand. I find the lasso tool a little more handy. And this one, you do want a little more clean than the first one. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Select inverse, and we're just going to delete the background of this guy, right? And after you have that, you can tighten it up a little bit with the magic wand tool, like coming in here and just clicking and getting rid of the extra edges, right? Leaving you with this. Clean edges, just the guy and his dog, right? So those are the pieces you need. The image that you're gonna wanna bring in, actually you can, freestyle off your head, but as you can see, these images do not match. This is an old painting mixed with a photograph, right? So that's why you definitely do not want to use the photograph beyond just it being a reference, right? So before I move on with that, now we're going to go back here and get rid of, okay, go back here. You want to get rid of these guys. So we zoom in a little bit, and the clone stamp tool is one of my favorites here. So option to get your target area. And change the size of the brush. And you just start to get rid of. And you don't want to go too crazy because then now you're bringing in colors from other areas that will not match. As you see, this moonlight has a glow around it. So you don't want to bring the color from over here and get rid of the glow. You want to try to keep some of that, right? So you got to keep those things in mind. So the other tool you want to use to make sure is the smudge tool, to make sure you bring in some of the tones that you don't want to lose. So it's definitely delicate back and forth you're going to have going here. And you're going to come and do the same thing with these guys. Smudge tool to the clone stamp tool. All right. Back and forth. So you see the target area is there. Where the plus sign is, wherever the plus sign is the target area. And you want to just make sure you do it in small strokes so you don't bring a tone in there that you don't want, because it's really a little difficult to get rid of the tone, right? So after you do all that, you will be left with this. Image that is just the way you want it, with the pieces you want there and the ones you don't, gone. And it almost looks like it was created like that. That's what's so beautiful about this this technique here, right? And you want to do it delicately so it doesn't draw your eye to any blemishes, right? So once you have that down pat now you will come back here to these guys. These guys are on a different layer now, right? And your guy walking the dog is on a different layer. You take the guy walking the dog here and you lower the opacity. And once you have that done, now you're going to take tones from these guys. We're going to zoom in here. You're going to take tones from the two original guys and use that as your palette to redraw and paint this guy and the dog, the fur, and all that in there so it looks like it is all one piece, right? And let's get started. So now we're going to move from here to my new best friend, the Cintiq, and that's going to take us over the top. All right, let's go. All right, now we're on the Cintiq, and this is where it gets interesting, right? So let's move this layer file up here, right? And I am gonna use the layer with these guys directly, right? That's these guys here. As long as I make sure I know where the dude is. So first I'm gonna come to the lasso tool here. Oh, I forgot my keyboard. With the keyboard here, make sure the shortcuts are pretty good. All right, I'm gonna lasso some of this guy head because his head is in a similar direction, right? Boom, put him up here, right? We're gonna resize that a little bit. Get that a little bigger, boom. Once you have that, now we're gonna come in with the smudge tool and start getting this here. It's almost, you are painting. You're basically painting. Because whatever you miss, you're going to come back and have to put it in, right? So we come here, right? And his shoulder and all that, you want the same tones. So just take some of his collar up here and the shoulder. These are the things that you want. And if you didn't have it, just make sure you take the same tones. That is the trick. You're going to want to take the same tones. And the clone, smudge, is your friends. All right. All right. And you make sure you just try to get the legs in, because you're going to come and blend all the colors back in anyway. And the only reason I got the other guy in here, just in case I need any tones, any darker tones and things like that. I don't want to have to keep going back and forth. So I'm just keeping him around. But you see the arm is down here. A lot of this will be erased. His leg is down here. And of course the pants will be different from the top, but you still want the same tones. So I could come here and get the eyedropper tool here, get some darker tones from that guy, and back. Now I'm on the brush now. And that's for the pants. And I'm still following the silhouette of this guy. Make him a little darker. I'm still following the silhouette of this guy. So, all right. And we're going to turn that off. And wrongly, I changed the opacity on this guy. There we go. There we go. So you want to have enough that you're seeing in order to get the shape. Right. And a lot of tones that you might see, let's turn him off for a second. It's on the wrong layer there. All right, there we go. There we go. And there are some lighter tones, and any lighter tone that you see, you're going to want to take that, get that, and start putting in at least the shape of your dog. So anything that's lighter or darker, you want to make sure you get it from the painting itself, any tone. You don't want to take tones from somewhere else and make it up on your own. You're finding it here. And every tone that I find is going to be from the foreground. I'm taking nothing from the background, because the foreground, the artist wanted to be in the foreground, wanted it to stand out more. So any piece that you're putting in the foreground, take paint and texture from the foreground itself. All right. So I'm looking around here and finding the lightest tones. And I'll show you guys this. Let me turn that off. Even on this guy's leg here, it's a light tone right there. And we make sure and get that tone. And I'm going to have that tone as the majority for the dog. Right? And it's still a back and forth thing that you're going to play around with, but you constantly play around with it. And then when you are happy with what you have, which I'm going to show you guys here. No, that's the cutout piece of this guy, the first one I had. All right. You are left with a piece you are happy with after a lot of back and forth with the brush, smudge tool, and the clone stamp tool. Now you're left with an image, and then after some highlights, you are left with an image that looks like it was part of the original piece to begin with. So I hope these techniques and little skills right here that I showed you guys come into play somehow and allow you guys to take old school public domain pieces and make it your own. So if you guys enjoyed this video, saw any value within it, remember, smack that like button, hit the subscribe, leave a comment. Any feedback will be truly appreciated. So until next time, y'all be good and be safe. Peace.